Good night, everyone doing tonight. God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Marjorie, Spirits Divine. I'm here to give you a little, I ain't gonna say show long. We breaking it down in two. We're gonna have part one and part two. We talking about Joseph. We talking about Joseph and we talking about how God came through for Joseph. Now first we're gonna start off with God came in Joseph's dream. He was just probably 16, 17 years old. And he came, God put his plan in Joseph's dream. He said he was gonna be in charge. He said he gonna be a king. And we gonna see how God came through. How he made his dream come to pass. It will fulfill. And so first we're gonna start out with Joseph had a dream. Joseph had a dream. And he have also so many brothers, half brothers. Uh he had half brothers that were jealous of him because him and his small brothers is the only two for Jacob, last wife that died. And so Jacob had paid close attention to Joseph because he had him at his old age. So we're gonna start off with 37, Genesis 37, verse 3, Joseph's dream. Now Israel loved Joseph more than his other sons because he had been born to him in his old age. And he made a robe for him, a beautiful robe. Now Joseph was Jacob's favorite, so he made him a special robe for Joseph, royalty, long sleeve and colorful, and this robe become a symbol of Jacob's favoritism towards Joseph. Now, I don't think it's right that he had 10 other children and two, you know. We always have a favorite, but not a kind of favorite that you're gonna overshadow all the rest of the kids. So Joseph had a dream. Sometimes God come in our dream. Sometimes he'll speak to us. However the case is or what kind of gift you have. You know, and Joseph is Jacob's son. And so he is the seed of Abraham. So Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him more. They're already hating him because they see the daddy favor him, making him. You have 10 all other children, 10, 12 other children, but he made Joseph a role. And they feel type of way about that. And then Joseph come out there and want to tell them about the dream, and they already hate him. And so Joseph had a dream and spoke of his future life, in relationship because God had started his plan, and see Joseph's young. He don't know about his dream or what he's seeing and what the meaning of it. He don't know yet, and so when he telling them he don't know about all this stuff that's going on. When he in Egypt, each time, then he gonna be seeing parts and parts, and he gonna be seeing when he sees his brother come, he like, oh, okay, this is some of my dream. Now he told them to listen to the dream he had. Now Joseph know his brothers hate him, but he was determined to tell them his dream. Now he was blinding sleeves. This is dream. Grand and in the field. When suddenly, leaves, sheaves, and stood upright while your sleeves gathering around mine and bowed down to him. So the sleeves, that's like the leaves and stuff. So he's saying all the leaves, just start coming together, just coming around him, and just bow down to him. And so he's telling this to his brother. Now, these strange images communicated with powerful messages to Joseph's life. Now his brother had said to him, "Do you intend on running over us? And will you actually rule us?" And they hated him all the more because he has a dream and what he had to say. And a lot of time, A lot of time, if you the only one in the family with a gift, sometimes everybody not wants to hear. Sometimes it's not good to tell everybody your gift if you're not showcasing it for God. You know, uh, and so he the only one had gifts, and they used to want to hear about no dream. They be like that dreamer, there go that dreamer boy, And so his brother had, so his brother had his dream, hated his dream. So his brother hated his dream, and they wasn't pleased. Because he telling them the sleeves coming around him, and then they buy down. So they're like, what you think we're going to buy down to you? And so he telling them his dream. And matter of fact, he don't even know what the dream mean until he actually get in Egypt. So then he had another dream. And he told it to his brothers. Listen, he said, I had another dream, and this time the sun and moon and 11 stars were bowing down to me. So what he's saying, that he gonna be a king. And so everyone gonna respect him, and they're gonna always bow down. Because it's the second time he said about bow down. And so he loved his brothers, so he failed to recognize the jealousy, hatred in brothers. Now he know they hate him the first time. Then he gonna tell him a second dream they hate him. So he was kind of blocking out the jealousy that he see that his brother had. So he said he recognized the jealousy, but he hated. So he hated to really, see it. That's his brothers, not his original brother, but that's his half brother. He still loved them. They never have any kind words to say to Joseph. It's always was mean, because the love he have for Jacob. For Jacob have a special love for Joseph. And down the line we will see how his brother will bow down when they say they're not gonna bow down. And so we're gonna talk about now. We're gonna talk about Joe. His brother gonna be so jealous, hatred. So they're gonna try to throw him in a pit, and then they're gonna sell him. And so from Genesis 37, start off with 17. So Joseph had went after his brother, and he found them, near Data. And so Joseph had loved his brothers, but they still hated him. He loved them, but they hate him. But they saw him in a distance, and before that he can reach to them, they plotting against him. So soon they see him from a distance, they plotting, and they see their brother, but still of them love him, they plotting against him, because he's special. Now here come that dreamer boy. They being sarcastic. Here come that dreamer boy. He said to each other, "Come, let's kill him and throw him into one of these censers, and say that the fierce animal had devoured him, and then we'll see what come of the dream." Now they're saying they kill him. Will he see himself in the dream? And so Joseph had dreamed and love for his brother. So Joseph dreamed in the love from his father caused them to kill him and be so jealous. And so one of his brothers, heard, and tried to rescue Joseph and tried to stop it. He didn't want to kill Joseph. And so the rage of jealousy, but his brother Reuben tried to stop it. That let's throw him into the censer. And it's a censer is real deep, and some of them don't have no water. So if he would have been in there a long period of time, he wouldn't have survived. And so let's throw him into a censer. Here is the wilderness, but don't lay a hand on him. So this brother here is not violent like them. He don't have the kind of hatred like the rest of the brothers. He said, no, we're not going to put a hand on him. We're not going to kill him. We're not going to harm him. But they took him and threw him in a censer. The censer was empty, and there was no water in it. So no other way he can survive up in there for so many hours. So they threw him in a censer, threw him in a pit where they had no water in this censer. And when the Mennonites, Marjorie had came by, the brothers had pulled Joseph. They pulled Joseph out of the censer and sold him for 20 skeletons of silver, and an Ashmanite who took him to Egypt. Now, this is all God planned. Sometimes you got to go through something to get what God wants you at. Remember, he put his plan in Joseph. So Joseph gonna be going from step by step until it got motion. See, I ain't do all of it. I might come tomorrow with part 3 and 4. Where his daddy thought he was dead all these years. So I'll do that tomorrow. But he got thrown in a pit. The Mennonites had come and scoop him up, and they bring him to Egypt. See, that's what God want him at. He want him at Egypt. Because just like God had told Jacob already living in Canaan. He told him, the ground that you land on, you're going to leave that ground and go to Egypt, but you're going to come back. You see what I'm saying? So he got to leave that land and he got to go to Egypt. And really they're not going to come back. And Joseph and Jacob going to come back, but the rest of his seed is not going to come back until after 400 years. But his God plan could always fall in place, no matter how long. And so when after them 400 years, it gonna seem like it ain't no time waste. It gonna seem like nothing because they're gonna do everything gonna fall in place. And so let's throw him in a censer. So they took him, and sold him. They sold him to Egypt. Now, he on the land with Egypt where God want him at. So Joseph's older brother have agreed to sell him as a slave to the Ammonites. So in the meanwhile, the Ammonites had sold Joseph in Egypt to Potter, one of Pharaoh's officials, the captain of the guard. Now Joseph was sold into slavery in Egypt by his jealous brothers. And sometimes God used people to get you on your purpose, to get you what you need to go at. God put that jealousy in their heart. To God don't want to harm us, but God give us a little push to our destination. And that's what happened. God put that jealousy in them. They saw their brothers just got enraged. Let's do something with him. And put him in a pit. And God had the Ammonites to come over, scoop them out, and put them in Egypt. So that's where everything gonna begin at in Egypt. He gonna go to hell to try to get to what God to before. You gotta go through something before everything started running smooth. And so Joseph was sold into slavery from his jealous brothers. So now we're going to Joseph, Potter, master wife. Genesis 39 start with 2. Now the Lord was with Joseph, so that he would prosper and live in the house of Egyptian in a master. All part of God's plan. Now Joseph's godly behavior wishes that he relied on the presence of the power of God in his life. No matter what you're going or what you're going through or how they throw you here and throw you there, God is with him. And then wherever Joseph at, or who around Joseph, just like Abraham, he is blessed. Anybody around him is blessed. And so Joseph's godly behavior, which is that he relied on the presence of the power of God in his life. The master found favor in Joseph. He became the attendant in charge of his household. Now his wife noticed, that Joseph is successful in everything he does. And now she knows she a married woman. And she noticed how successful he is and how good looking he is. And she just watching him. And so the time he put him in charge of his household and all that he owned, the Lord blessed the house of Egypt because of Joseph. And so a lot of time when you're around certain people, then all of a sudden good stuff start happening. You apply for a loan, they always reject, but not all of a sudden, it's happening. Everything is falling in place for you. Joseph was on that site. No matter what Joseph was at, anybody was around Joseph, they was blessed. Their land was prosper. Everything. And so that God increased power, wealth, and well-being in every area where Joseph was. Wherever Joseph was, it was blessed. It was blessed. Pharaoh's house, blessed. Wherever Joseph lay at, wherever Joseph stand at, it was blessed. It said God increased power. That's his wife. The wealth and well-being in every area where Joseph was. Whatever Joseph was responsible for, it was blessed. That Joseph was well built and handsome. That's why she was following everywhere he go. Okay, he look good. Okay, he well, he's successful, and he got everything going. And she married, but she didn't worry about her husband. She worried about following Joseph. So after a while, his master wife took notice of Joseph, and said, "Come to bed with me." So the master wife had already committed adultery with him in her heart. You can think of it, you can put it in your heart, and you don't react on it, but it's still adultery. But Joseph refused. A godly man. He connected with God on a regular basis, and God is with him. And so he refused. Now, one day he had went into the house to attend his duties, and none of the household servants was there, because you never know, she probably sent him outside. He in charge of our palace and everything else. So when he go there, she there. She called him by his coat, and said, "Come to bed with me," asking him again. But he left his coat in his hand and ran out. Now this time, she's asking the same question. He said, "No, woman." And so that pretty coat he got, he left it. You can have it. He ran so fast, and no, she tried to pull it on his arm, and he pulled his coat. Put his coat off of him. Now he did the most honorable thing he could think of, but run and leave everything with her. Really, it's not really was a good thing, because whatever you leave behind, they use that for evidence. The coat he had left behind, she used it for evidence. Now she kept his coat inside her house until her husband came home. And then when he came home, see, she already, she was a pretty woman. And see, some people can't take no. They get offensive because they're so used to people telling them yeah. And by he told her no twice. She waited till her husband came home to show evidence and told a lie. Now the woman kept Joseph's coat as proof of what she had laid to his charge. But as soon as I screamed, this her line, Soon as I screamed for help, he left his coat beside me and ran out of the house. Now she done told a story. And see, some people can lie and dress it all good and make it sound so good. There's no telling how she was in motion. I screamed and he just left. Knowing that's not how the story was. Now she lied. Now Joseph falsely accused of him. Now the importance of standing firm, in one of your conviction and relying on God sovereignty in time of trial. It's some people, in trial, and sometimes it can hurt. You could be innocent, and it gotta be a way that you can defend yourself and stand on grace. And see, that's how Joseph was. That no matter what he said, he believed her. So he had to keep standing on his ground in grace without hooping and hollering and doing all that motion. So he served the time, because they didn't want to hear nothing he had to say. So when the master heard the story, if his wife told him, saying that this is how your slave treated, and he burnt up with anger, because Joseph was a ruler over not everything, but his palace, and so the master wife falsely accused and attempt rape. Now I don't know how people can just lie and dress it up so good. And people lie so much so they actually believe the lies is true. So now Joseph master told him and put him in prison. So place where the king prisoner was confined. But while Joseph was there in prisoner, the Lord was with him. And he showed him kindness and granted him favor in the eyes of the prison. Now God is always with us, just like God told David. And David didn't even know. Wherever you went, I was with you. Whatever cage you kept running to, I was with you. So God be letting us know. No matter where you run to, and you think, you by yourself crying and hiding. God said, I was with you. God, they throw Joseph in jail. God said, I'm with you. No matter what they did with Joseph, God was with him. And so that's part one of the story. I'm going to come with another video. And this is an update of the news I had put out earlier. Jamie Crooked. She was in a Congress meeting, and the Republican representative, had criticized her her eyelash. Now they're supposed to be in the meeting talking about whatever they need to talk about. It's not supposed to be criticizing people's appearance, and wardrobe and in their eyes. You're not supposed to be calling people out their name when you sitting in a meeting, trying to get matters done, and so in the mix of getting matters done, words is being exchanged, being disrespected, being disrespected. And the only thing should be addressed, at the table is what supposed to be discussing at the meeting. And so that's what I had talked about earlier. The Republican representative Marjorie Taylor, she talked about her eyelash, and then Jasmine is a Democrat, and she was criticized of her appearance. They're supposed to be talking about the meeting. They're supposed to be getting stuff done. They represent the people. She a former public defender. Serving the people in Texas for the 30th district. And so she doing her job, speaking on what supposed to be speaking in the meeting when she got criticized. So that's all I have for you. That's all I have for you. I'm gonna come back with you with part 2 of Joseph, and y'all have a nice night.